Subcommittee. Ms. Beatty is recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Ranking Member, and to you, Secretary Besant. The Trump administration has alleged that detecting and deterring transnational criminal organizations such as Iranian terrorist groups and their proxies is a priority for national security. But on March 2nd of 2025, your department announced that it would not enforce any penalties or fines associated with the BOI reporting rule, nor will it enforce the CTA against U.S. citizens, domestic reporting companies, or their beneficial owners. So I'm a little confused of how you square those two things. So my question is, can you explain to, or would you explain to the American public how you undermine the bipartisan CTA and expect law enforcement and national security agencies to quickly and effectively know the true owners behind shell companies registered in the United States now that foreigners, including a drug cartel, gang members, could register a company in the United States with no state or any federal ownership reporting requirements? And I remind you, in your testimony, you talked about illicit actors. Well, these are some of our illicit actors.
Welcome back, Patriots, to the Heritage Hustle, where we expose the lies, defend liberty, and hold the swamp accountable. I'm your host, and today we're diving into one of the most outrageous congressional hearings I've seen in a long time. We're talking about a Treasury official openly admitting that the Biden administration is weakening our national security again, and doing it under the guise of helping small businesses. This is about the Corporate Transparency Act being gutted, and it's more than just bad policy. It's dangerous. Let's unpack it. First, some context. The Corporate Transparency Act, CTA, was passed to expose shell companies and the criminals hiding behind them, cartels, terrorist proxies, human traffickers, you name it. It was a bipartisan law, rare, necessary. The point, make sure every company discloses its real owner, what they call beneficial ownership information, or BLI, so our law enforcement can crack down on criminal abuse of our financial system. But then, what does Biden's Treasury Department do in March 2025? They announce they're not going to enforce penalties for U.S. citizens or domestic companies that fail to comply with the CTA. In other words, if you're an American shell company, congratulations, you're invisible now.
Congresswoman, an overwhelming majority of the domestic entities that you're describing are hardworking Americans with small businesses. We bifurcated the bill, and any foreign entities must still file.
So are you saying to me it's not true that they must file and the foreign entities must file the BOI?
Yes, we bifurcated the CTA program that domestics do not have to.
So maybe I'm asking it the wrong way. So it appears that they are doing it registering to avoid the transparency of who the companies are.
I'm not sure what your question is. I'd be happy to answer it.
So I guess I'm looking at it as, and if you're saying it is not true and that they now are complying and completing the BOI, so let's take it one step at a time. So you're saying everybody is completing the BOI. You're enforcing it.
No, ma'am. I am saying that we have bifurcated it, that U.S. nationals do not have to file, and that foreign nationals do. Okay,
so I guess when we look at this, if we're limiting enforcements of the rule just to the foreign entities, that creates a giant loophole whereby any foreign entity can register in the United States and evade or not do the BOI reporting requirements.
Well, they would be subject to they would have to come through a U.S. financial institutions, so they would be subject to all U.S. institutions.
Including the BOI.
The AML.
Including the BOI. Including the BOI, yes or no? Because the answer is no. I mean, you can say it however you want to, but the answer is no. And this makes it easier, and this is what I want the American folks to know. It makes it easier for human and drug traffickers, cartels, terrorists, organizations, and other criminals to do business in the United States. And when you're limiting the enforcement just to foreign entities, it exempts 99% of the entities that Congress intended the law to cover when it was passed into law. So I think I do have my answer. We're just not agreeing on it, and we know why. So let me go to my second. Let me, it's my time. Let me go to my second question. The clock is running. It's my time. It is my time. You will not do this on my time. Now, I'm going to ask for a few more seconds since he refused to comply with my time, not his time. In 2016, former Secretary Jack Lew announced that Harriet Tubman was to be the new face of the $20 bill. Can you tell me what's the current status of this project?
No, ma'am, I can't, but my staff will get back to you.
No, I want you to get back to me. Because, see, there seems to be an issue when it comes to things that affect people of color or people who live in poverty, whether it is what you're doing with Social Security, what you are doing with restricting funds to programs.
The gentlewoman's
So
time is
I
expired.
want you,
The gentlewoman's
will
time
you
is
respond
expired.
to me?
The gentleman from
Mr. Chairman, I
Texas,
need
the
him to
gentlewoman's
answer
time.
if he will, I'm not a
The
staff
gentlewoman can
person.
submit
I'm not
questions for
asking
the
him to
record.
have his staff report to
The
me.
gentlewoman
So,
can
Mr.
submit-
Chairman, I'm addressing it to you to ask
gentlewoman's
him
time
to
has
respect
expired.
me. Mr. Chairman,
The
I'm
gentlewoman's
talking
time
to
has
you.
expired.
I need him to address if he
gentlewoman's
will
time
answer
has
me.
expired.
No, I'm not going to
The gentlewoman's
yield.
time
I'm
has
not going
expired.
to stop until you direct
gentlewoman's
him
time
to
has
answer to
expired.
me as a member of Congress.
The gentlewoman's
Mr.
time has
Chairman, point
expired.
of
The
order
gentlewoman
to
has
you.
offered that she can
Mr.
submit questions
Chairman,
for the
point
record.
of order to you. I will not stop. I will not be silent.
The gentlewoman is
until
not
you
offering
direct
an
him
appropriate
to answer.
parliamentary inquiry. Does
Will
the gentlewoman
you-
have a parliamentary
Yes,
inquiry?
I do.
Please state the parliamentary inquiry.
As a member of the United States Congress addressing the Secretary, I am asking you to rule on asking this hostile witness to direct his response to me versus having him tell me that his staff will respond to me. My staff person didn't ask them the question. I did.
The gentlewoman does not state a parliamentary inquiry.
So let me ask the
gentlewoman's
point of
time-
privilege to you, Mr. Chairman, because I'm not going to stop this morning until you respond to me then, if you will direct the Secretary to respond to me as a member of Congress. Or let me ask him.
It is not a
Then
point of
let me
privilege. The
ask
gentlewoman's
him
time, the
if
gentlewoman's
he will
time has
respond
expired.
to
The
me.
gentlewoman will
he
suspend.
respond to me?
The
Will he
gentlewoman will.
respond
The
to
gentlewoman
me
will
that
suspend.
he-
The gentlewoman
It can
will
be simple
suspend.
if he
The
responds.
gentlewoman will
If
suspend.
he responds
The
to
gentlewoman
me,
will
if
suspend.
he will
The
respond to me,
gentlewoman makes a legitimate request, a personal
you
privilege.
can simply ask him to
Grant
respond.
personal privilege.
Just
Personal
ask him to
privilege.
respond if he'll respond to a member of Congress versus saying a staffer. It's simple as that.
I ask that members keep decorum and remain cordial during today's hearing.
I am being
Members,
cordial
the
to you,
gentlewoman will
Mr.
suspend.
Chairman.
The chair has the time.
Mr. Chairman,
The
will you
chair has the
answer the
time. The
question?
gentlewoman will suspend.
Gentlewoman
The
makes
gentlewoman
a
will
legitimate
suspend.
request.
I ask that members keep decorum and remain cordial during
I
today's
am being
hearing.
cordial. I resent your statement to imply that I am not. I am a member of the U.S. Congress. I am asking this
The
secretary
gentlewoman
to
may
respond
submit
to me.
QFRs for the record, which will be responded to by the secretary.
Thank
The
you.
gentlewoman's time has expired. The gentleman from Texas, the chairman of the Small Business Committee, Mr. Williams, is recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Mr. Secretary, for being here. This may be a little easier on you here. I'll try to move it fast forward. The Chinese Communist Party has enabled their economy to serve as
So let me get this straight. Our federal government, under the guise of bifurcation, their word, not mine, is now letting American shell companies fly under the radar. No penalties, no fines, no transparency. If you're a domestic actor, you're off the hook. And if you're foreign, maybe. Folks, that's not enforcement. That's a free-for-all. That's an open invite to every criminal element in the world, human traffickers, drug cartels, terrorist proxies, to waltz into our country, register a company, and vanish into the fog of government incompetence. Or maybe it's not incompetence. Maybe it's by design. We have Iranian terrorist groups using financial front operations. We have drug cartels that make billions pumping fentanyl into our streets. And now, thanks to Secretary Bessent and the bureaucratic cowards running the show, these monsters can legally set up shop in our backyard, without so much as a name tag. And Congresswoman Batty, she wasn't having it. She called this exactly what it is, a massive national security failure. But what did Bessent say? That it's fine, that they'll come through a U.S. financial institution. Oh, sure, because criminals always follow the rules, right? Here's the question. Why do we pass laws if we're not going to enforce them? The Corporate Transparency Act was bipartisan. That means even the swamp agreed that we need to expose who really owns these anonymous shell companies. But now, Secretary Bessent says, nah, we'll just ignore the American side of it. This is the equivalent of building a border wall and leaving the gate wide open. What's the point? Let me tell you what this is really about. It's about protecting the donor class, the globalist elite, the politically connected cowards who hide their money in Delaware LLCs and dodge taxes while everyday Americans get crushed under the weight of IRS audits and inflation. They don't want transparency. They want control. They want the power to come after you, the small business owner, the patriotic investor, the self-employed worker, but give a free pass to anyone with an offshore bank account and a Georgetown law degree. Now we get into constitutional territory. Congress passes the laws. The executive branch enforces them. That's the deal. But here's Bessent ignoring the law like he's some kind of financial dictator. This isn't a policy decision, it's a subversion of the democratic process. If you can selectively enforce laws based on who the target is, you no longer have a republic. You have tyranny. And while this bombshell about shell companies is going off, what do the Democrats want to talk about? Harriet Tubman on the $20 bill. Look, I respect Harriet Tubman. She was a freedom fighter. But that's not what this is about. It's about political virtue signaling. They want to distract you with symbols while they tear down the substance of what makes this country great. It's smoke and mirrors. The chaos didn't stop there. When Rep. Batty pressed for answers, basic accountability, the Democrats threw a fit. They shut down her questioning. They claimed she was out of order. They told her to submit questions to the Secretary's staff. Staff? When did unelected staffers start testifying before Congress? When did they start becoming the public face of policy? I'll tell you when. When spineless bureaucrats refuse to own up to their decisions. That's when. This is what we're up against. A bloated federal government that's lost its moral compass, its sense of duty, and its constitutional boundaries. This isn't left versus right anymore. It's patriot versus parasite. It's everyday Americans versus the administrative state. They want to bury our country in red tape while giving criminal cartels the green light to run their dirty money through U.S. banks. And they think if they talk long enough, we'll stop paying attention. But here's the thing, we're not going anywhere. We're watching, we're documenting, and we're going to expose every one of these policy failures and power grabs for what they are. Congress needs to act. The people need to rise. And if the courts still mean anything in this country, Secretary Bessent and anyone who helped orchestrate this sham should be hauled before a judge and asked to explain why they think they're above the law. America isn't just an idea. It's a covenant, a sacred trust between a free people and a limited government. And when that trust is broken, patriots have a duty to step up and restore it. That's it for today's episode. Share this video, drop a comment, and let the swamp know we're not backing down. This is the Heritage Hustle, and we're just getting started.